Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're embarking on a really fascinating journey, digging through a stack of fresh reports from KOICA, the Korea International Cooperation Agency. They're a key player, in global development and official development assistance, our mission, to sort of cut through the noise, pull out those crucial nuggets of knowledge, maybe some surprising facts, to leave you really well informed about what they've been up to recently.
Exactly. And these aren't just isolated news items either. When we start connecting the dots, you begin to see this comprehensive picture. How all these diverse initiatives, healthcare, digital stuff, finance, how they're actually making real-world impacts. We want to help you understand not just what happened, but maybe more importantly, why it matters on that larger, more strategic scale.
Yeah, think of this as your shortcut, maybe. Your way to grasp a whole range of these international development efforts without feeling, totally overwhelmed. So let's get ready. Let's uncover some surprising connections and some real tangible progress from the front lines of global development. Okay, let's start with a really significant story, I think. On June 3rd, something pretty important unfolded in northern Laos. The opening of the RMNCH, that's Reproductive, Maternal, Newborn, and Child Health and Nutrition Training Center. It's at the Luang Namtha Provincial Hospital. Now, what's really impactful here, what makes this stand out, is that it's the first and the only specialized nutrition training facility in that entire northern region.
And what's really strategic about this center, why its location is so key, is that Luang Namtha province, it has a minority population rate of over 72%. That's more than double the national average. And these vulnerable groups, they often face limited healthcare access. There are diverse cultural differences, linguistic barriers.
Right.
So KOIC's goal here, it's not just about putting up a building. It's really about establishing an inclusive healthcare system, specifically for the underprivileged women, ethnic minorities, people living in mountainous areas who've, historically been underserved.
So this is really about tackling those systemic barriers to health, isn't it? And they're not just providing a place for training, like you said. They're integrating management of acute malnutrition.
Yes.
Offering vital breastfeeding and nutrition counseling. And, this seems critical, training midwives and other healthcare workers right there on site.
Exactly.
And all that contributes directly, you'd think, to reducing infant and child mortality rates, maternal mortality ratios, and tackling child malnutrition through education, through community outreach. Now, what do you see as maybe the biggest challenge for KOICA in making sure a facility like this lasts? The long-term sustainability, especially after the initial funding runs out.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's always a concern. I think the biggest hurdle often lies in transferring true ownership, making sure there's local capacity building so that the people they train and the facility itself can keep running effectively, with local resources, local policy support. KOIC's approach here, focusing on comprehensive training and community engagement, it aims to embed this really deeply, which is, I think, a smart move for that long-term impact.
Makes sense. Okay, so from that really critical on-the-ground healthcare, let's shift gears. We're moving to a completely different side of KOIC's work, something that might surprise you a bit. As I was going through these reports, one detail just completely jumped out at me because it felt so unexpected. We found out KOIC recently released 24 new digital stickers featuring their unique communication character, PeKO, and they're free on the Naver OGQ market.
Oh yeah, PeKO. This is actually their second release, isn't it? They had a set in 2023. This new set, it's titled Peace Fairy PeKO's Workplace. Even if it's tough, I have to do it, Hope Edition. And it features PeKO as this eternally positive and passionate office worker. Now, this isn't just about, cute characters. It's actually a pretty savvy move, sort of digital soft diplomacy, you could call it. By humorously depicting common workplace situations, daily life stuff, these stickers are designed to resonate with office workers, sure, but also a really wide range of users. It just makes communication more engaging.
It's fascinating, how they're using these popular platforms to engage people and sort of subtly embed their brand. You can download them, apparently, just search PeKO or KOICA and use them on Naver services like Blog and Cafe. But while this is clearly a creative way to engage for an organization focused on pretty serious development work, is there any concern, maybe, that a lighthearted approach like this might, inadvertently dilute the perception of their core mission? Or is it just purely a benefit?
No, it's a valid question to ask. I think the intent here is really to broaden public appeal, to reach audiences, especially younger ones maybe, who might never pick up a traditional aid report.
Right.
It's about building a positive, modern image for international development work. So, if it's executed well, the benefit of that increased public familiarity, that goodwill, it usually outweighs any perceived dilution, I'd say. It lets them connect on a more personal, relatable level before maybe introducing the more serious stuff they do.
That's a great point about broadening the reach. Yeah. And speaking of human connection, at the heart of so much development work is that direct human engagement, right? That brings us to the latest on KOICA's global volunteer efforts. We saw a report about the WFK KOICA Project Volunteers First Batch Activity Results presentation happened at their headquarters on June 4th. This event brought together 8 teams, 87 members in total. They just got back after completing overseas volunteer work. 8 developing countries, Paraguay, Cambodia, Rwanda, places like that. Their service ran from, December 2024 to April 2025.
Yeah, and this really underscores the importance of experiential learning, that direct engagement in global development. The volunteers shared their activity results, which is great. But also, importantly, they discussed ways to make the program even better. Taking lessons learned right from the field. I've heard countless stories from these volunteers over the years, and it's always striking how often they come back saying they learned just as much, maybe more, from the communities they served as they actually contributed themselves. It emphasizes that two-way exchange.
Oh, definitely.
And they all seem to agree unanimously that their 4 months overseas was just invaluable for building teamwork and personal confidence.
That reciprocal learning, yeah, that sounds really powerful. And this isn't just a one-off thing, is it? They have big plans ahead. KOICA intends to launch 9 newly developed project volunteer initiatives this year. Countries like the Dominican Republic, Rwanda again, Mongolia.
Busy year.
Plus, recruitment for the 4th batch of the 2025 WFK KOICA Project Volunteers is scheduled to start in early July. You can find info on the WFK KOVIA website, apparently. It certainly shows a real strong commitment to keeping these volunteer efforts going.
Absolutely. It's a core part of their approach.
Okay, so speaking of innovative approaches, KOICA isn't just focused on human capital and direct aid. They seem deeply invested in leveraging, cutting-edge technology for these big global challenges. Which brings us to this exciting new initiative, the AI for Climate Action Awards, the AIC Awards. This is an international competition KOICA is co-hosting with the UNFCCC, the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. That's the main international body for climate negotiations. Big partnership.
Yeah, and this raises a really important question for me. How exactly can cutting-edge tech like AI be effectively leveraged, especially for something as complex as climate change? The AICA Awards, they're designed specifically to unearth innovative solutions that use AI technology to address climate change. Their specific aim, it seems, is to identify practical, sustainable, open-source solutions for climate adaptation and mitigation, particularly focusing on least developed countries, LDCs, and small island developing states, SIDs. The places often hit hardest and first by climate change impacts.
So if my AI skills were just a little bit sharper, I could potentially win an award and maybe help save the planet. Light chuckle. But seriously, this opens up some incredible avenues, doesn't it?
If it really is.
The scope seems really wide. They're looking for AI solutions for urgent sectors like agriculture, energy, water, waste, early warning systems. And it's open to anyone 18 or older. Individuals, groups, doesn't matter where you're from.
Global reach.
Applications are open until July 31st, and the final winner gets picked by September after 3 rounds of judging. Now, from your perspective, what do you think is the biggest hurdle? Getting these really innovative AI solutions actually adopted and scaled up in the regions that need them most?
That's a great question. Often, the challenge isn't just the tech itself, right? It's that last mile problem. You need the infrastructure, you need the local capacity, you need community buy-in for these solutions to actually work.
Right.
I mean, an amazing AI model for predicting crop yield won't do much good if farmers don't have the digital literacy or the internet access or the trust to actually use it. These awards, though, by focusing on practical open source solutions, they seem to be trying to tackle that head on, promoting accessibility and, local adaptation.
That's a really critical point to consider. Yeah. And okay, sticking with this theme of innovative approaches, what does this all mean when we talk about innovative financing for environmental sustainability? We heard about a ceremony on June 10th in Kathmandu, Nepal. It was commemorating the issuance of green bonds by KOICA, working together with the Global Green Growth Institute, GGGI, that's an international org focused on green growth, and also the Nepal Infrastructure Bank, NIFAR.
Green bonds, yes. What's truly insightful here, I think, is how instruments like green bonds allow an agency like KOICA to tap into private capital markets for development funding. It's a move beyond only relying on traditional aid budgets. So green bonds, basically they're special purpose bonds.
Yeah.
Issued to raise funds specifically for eco-friendly projects, things like renewable energy, green transportation, climate-smart agriculture. In Nepal, specifically, the money raised from this bond, the proceeds, will be used directly in the country's renewable energy and clean transportation sectors. And this particular green bond, it's part of a bigger joint project between KOICA and GGGI, focused on building climate resilience and reintegrating economically displaced workers through climate-smart agriculture in Terai floodplains, Nepal. Quite a title, but important work.
In the context of that project, in the Terai Plains, that seems really crucial. It's a key agricultural region, but highly vulnerable to climate disasters, floods, droughts.
Extremely vulnerable.
Which directly threatens the livelihoods of the people living there. And the economic difficulties there, they've apparently been made worse by migrant workers returning after the COVID-19 pandemic. Lost income, more pressure. So KOICA has been supporting local governments and farmers there, strengthening their climate disaster response capabilities, providing climate-smart agriculture training.
Which basically means practices that increase productivity sustainably, help farmers adapt to climate change, and, where possible, reduce greenhouse gas emissions.
Right. And offering small-scale climate finance support, too. It just powerfully illustrates that direct link between strategic financing, like these green bonds, and building resilience right there on the ground. But are there any common pitfalls or challenges in making sure the funds raised from green bonds are really, truly ring-fenced, that they only go to environmental projects and actually deliver the impact they're supposed to, especially in complex places like Nepal?
Oh, absolutely. That's always the key concern with these kinds of instruments. The main challenge is robust monitoring and verification. You have to ensure transparency in how the funds are actually used. And you need ways to accurately measure their environmental impact. That requires strong governance, a really clear framework. And that's where partners like GGGI and NIFRA become absolutely vital. They bring expertise in both green project development and financial oversight within that specific local context.
Got it. Makes sense. Wow. What an incredible deep dive today. We've covered so much ground, from that critical healthcare center really making an impact for minority groups in northern Laos to engaging digital stickers as this, surprising form of public outreach,
Quite a range.
to global volunteer efforts fostering that two-way learning, cutting-edge AI tackling climate change for the most vulnerable, and even these innovative green bonds bolstering environmental resilience in Nepal.
It really does showcase the diverse and, I think, interconnected ways that global development is evolving, doesn't it? By looking at these specific initiatives, you get a much clearer picture of how organizations like KOICA are addressing really complex challenges across different sectors, often with, like you said, surprising and innovative approaches that blend those traditional aid methods with very modern strategies.
Yeah, these aren't just headlines we skimmed over. They feel like deeper insights into the ongoing efforts to create a more resilient, more equitable world, often with a strategic depth, maybe, that we don't always see at first glance. We really hope this deep dive has given you, our listeners, a richer understanding.
Definitely. And as you reflect on these distinct yet clearly connected efforts, maybe consider this provocative thought. How do these varied, targeted initiatives, when you look at them all together, how do they represent perhaps a new era of global problem solving, one that's moving beyond just traditional aid models and really embracing innovation across every spectrum?